Welcome to a quick review of the Toyama 240 Gyuto. It's a knife I've had for a good 6 months and one of my favourites. It's a heavyweight knife at about 250 grams, 4mm at the spine, tapering nicely to about 2mm. Not the finest tip, but still very usable, as I'll show on a quick little demonstration. To note, it's got a custom handle, and that's how good the knife was. I decided to get the knife custom handled as well. So all in all, if you're looking for a heavyweight knife with decent and very good food release, it's an excellent all-purpose chef knife. So to start off, I'm going to do a little bit of preparation on a couple of potatoes, as well as an onion and what's left of a slightly old mushroom. Later on, I'm also going to review a larger knife, a heavier knife actually, which is the Toyama Nikiri 210, but that's second parts. So if you like this one, have a look out for the next review. And I'll test that with cabbages. So to start with, let's have a quick look at the food release. This is a just recently peeled potato. Potatoes themselves, pretty good indication of food release. I'm fairly lazy today. This is a home setting, so this is for me is more of a case of showing you its performance. It's been freshly sharpened, so it's cutting quite nicely. This is literally for my lunch today, so nothing, no huge prep. So all in all, as you can see, it flies through produce fairly well. It does have a bit of convexity, so for larger produce, I find you can look at. I prefer the Nikiri actually, but that's a very large knife itself. Moving on to the onions, this is quite a cold one. It's been in the fridge of all places, and this should give you an idea of the nice use of the tip. One thing I'll say about the Toyama, which is exceptional, is the heat treatment, and it's a bit hard to describe, but it's almost the density of the metal behind the edge, and the sheer size and power of this knife requires that it's got to have a good heat treatment to keep up with the power being put onto the edge, and this is superb. It's easily one of my favourite knives for that reason alone. Now there are other fantastic makers out there, but in terms of what you pay for at what I think is the higher end of the market, not the super high end, but the high end of the market, it's fantastic value. So quickly just going through a bit of onion here. I'm fairly lazy today, so I'm not going to bother doing cross cuts, which this is not as, well, you'd go for a 210 I'd say if you wanted something a little bit more nimble, but frankly speaking, if I wanted to, I do horizontal cuts as well. But the beauty of it is it's fantastic as an onion. So in that respect, it's a lovely blade. It is full carbon, so that is one thing to note if you're still getting used to the idea of blades that need to patina and need to develop before they, become sort of resistant to rust. You have to, just wash them periodically. But fundamentally, you can get a fantastic, performance out of this. Notice there's no curling on the sides of the onion, so it cuts beautifully. What I mean is, on each of these sides, this happens on cheap knives that aren't sharp, and it's just a lot of fun to work with. So I'm going to keep I'm going to finish it off on a really soft piece of produce. This is a very old mushroom, as you can tell. It's still edible, but not the best. Now, to give you an idea, the kasumi finish, which is this polished finish, it really helps on produce which can disintegrate a little bit like mushrooms. If you notice, for example, when I cut into this, that's just my bad technique, but it still holds together quite well. And that's really useful for, well, you know, getting the cleanest cut. Bit of an old thing. If I get a karuchi finish, you'll notice that it, you know, the cladding on the side, and this is a completely different knife, will sometimes help that food release. And that's actually a great knife too, but that's for another day. So all in all, this is a quick look at a Toyama Gyuto 240. Just to give you an idea of the width of the spine, it is quite thick at 4mm, but it does taper quite well. Tip, like I said, is not the most delicate, but still very usable. In terms of weight, it's a nice heavy workhorse. You can really use the weight of the knife effectively. What can I say? It's for the power you can get out of this is extraordinary, realistically speaking, and yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. Have a wonderful time with your knives, and if you pick one up, let us know how you go with it.